For additional perspective, we are joined here in the studio by Tal Reshef, Asia Business Consultant. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Firstly, tell us about the sufficiency economy, where many governments try to actually increase spending and consumption. Thailand seems to be doing the opposite.
Well, Thailand is in a very peculiar situation, and facing the possibility of the disappearance of the monarch puts it in a very specific light. It needs some explanation. Look, we are not talking about the prime minister. We are not talking about the ruler. We are not talking about a possible death. This is something that I would not mention in Thailand so openly. Of the one who puts who decides the policy. It's the monarch. He's distant, he's in the backstage, he's in the background.
He's symbolic.
He's more than symbolic. That's the very important point, because if he was only symbolic, like the Queen of England, for instance, then he has nothing to do with any policy whatsoever, but he's not. He has the possibility that he has practiced in very occasional cases of stepping into the stage whenever he sees a crisis, whenever he sees something that needs his special intervention. For instance, whenever there have been riots and a coup d'etat that was taking place in the capital, there were very rare places that he stepped in and said, well, this is not acceptable. And once the king says it, it's like the Emperor of Japan. Everybody respects it, regardless of their party or whatsoever. So it is something that might happen whenever he expresses his sympathy or the contrary to this direction or other direction, it influences the map.
And this is fascinating, especially in the West. We certainly struggle to comprehend something like this.
Yes, it's Thailand. It's not the West, absolutely not the West, because in the West we are much more formal in this point. Either this is your responsibility or not. It is not his responsibility, but he's regarded as the father of the nation. And you were mentioning, for instance, the point of the economy of Thailand. And Thailand is facing, on the last years, very difficult situations economically. Asia is booming. Japan in the beginning, then the Asian tigers, afterwards Korea, China, India is starting. Thailand is kind of lagging behind.
Well, long story short here, we have seen 70 years of economic stability under his influence, but under a regime change, can we see some kind of negative change, perhaps?
That's the point, because the person that will take his place, in case that he's gone, is his son. His son, well, he's not a very young person, he's in his 60s, but still he's more than 20 years younger than his father. He was born in another generation. He sees the state in another way. His father was identifying himself very much with the elite, with the aristocratic families of Thailand, the rich conglomerates of, it's not China, excuse me, of Thailand. With the rich ones, the more influential ones, and he was stepping in only in cases that went along with this direction. It is not very clear that his son will continue the same direction. He might be more activist. He might express his ideas more openly, and he might put himself more on the direction of the poor and the wide parts of the society, more than his father, who was very, very conservative.
What about Thailand's ties with Israel?
Well, this is a good connection. I would not say love story like we have with other countries such as Philippines and Nepal, but still we have good relations with them. But currently, Thailand is one of the countries in East Asia whose necessity for the Israeli innovation is not as strong as the others. They face a very big crisis with rice. They have a surplus of production of rice, which they do not know what to do with it. They have a problem getting into directions that they want to develop because their instability, their political instability. Right now they are ruled by the generals. But once they are out of it, they will need to climb to the next stage. Next stage is high technology, and Israeli innovation will be a key player in this issue.
Well, thank you very much for your insight. Do appreciate it. Tal Reshef.